Okay, I'll admit it. I enjoyed Star Wars Outlaws. Enjoyed, not loved. Just want to make that clear. I believe it's the perfect 7 out of 10 game, and it should be the benchmark that IGN uses to review other 7 out of 10 games, if that makes any sense. It's sort of like how Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the perfect 9 out of 10, but I am seeing a lot of negativity about this specific game. And yes, it has a very lackluster story and some finicky open world mechanics and a very strange stealth system, but there is a lot of not bad with this game, and I kind of wanted to highlight some of the good things, but also the story, because I think the story is very all over the place. Before this video continues, don't forget to leave the comment Nix in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, do all of that stuff. Let's get into it. You, the player, take on the life of Kay Vess. Yes, that's her name. She's the coolest cool girl in all of the galaxy. She's sassy, she's smart, and she messes up a lot more than she probably should. She's not really well written, to be honest. She's sort of boring and very one-dimensional. However, the actress, her name is Humbly Gonzalez, does an amazing job. If you get to the part in Tatooine where she loses Nix, you can really see her performance, and it's quite amazing. She really feels emotionally vulnerable throughout that sort of phase of the story, and I think she did an excellent job. Anyhow, Kay's bored. Like super really, oh my gosh, everything sucks bored. That said, I'm pretty sure she lives rent-free at a bar on planet, what was it called? Cantonica, which is the gambling planet from episode 8. Ubisoft do a really good job at kind of implementing all of the different narratives from episode 1 to 9 and putting them within one story. So this feels like it connects all of Star Wars together, which is really cool. The thing you need to know is Kay is cool, and she knows she's cool. So she plans on joining a crew who just so happen to be planning the coolest heist on the planet. They're gonna rob this guy, Solero. Kay's like, heck yeah, we're gonna rob him blind. So you and the team break in, but there's no money. Then Kay does this, and they're like, we're fighting with Luke, and blah 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 blah. Next thing we know, Kay's been knocked out. Solero finds her inside his vault. He chases, Kay steals, and now we have his spaceship, which is called the Trailblazer, which then she immediately crash lands on an alien planet. This planet is called Tashara, and it's an original planet that the game developers made for this game. It's one of 4 maps, by the way. Waka, within literal seconds, finds the crash site and just so happens to be a mechanic. So while Kay does odd jobs with various syndicates to find pieces of machinery to help fix the ship, Waka's his way into making the Trailblazer fly again. Unfortunately, Waka walked way too close to the sun and decides to backstab Kay. What? No way. This lady, her name is Vale Tormin. These names, man, they're just sci-fi for the sake of sci-fi, aren't they? She ends up killing Waka. Turns out she's a bounty hunter who Solero hired to kill Kay and get his ship back. Kay escapes, obviously, because now the player is in control and she can't die yet. And this is when we meet ND5, the only character other than Nix who has some sort of development throughout the story. Nix, I totally forgot about Nix. He's like Kay's dog, well, alien dog, who introduces some of the best side missions within the open world. Worlds, minimaps, he'll come to the story later. ND5 and his buddy, Jalen Frax? These names, who's totally not suspicious at all, are like, we like you, Kay. We want to redo the Solero robbery, but this time, actually steal from him. Gasp. So instead of Jalen literally doing anything at all, he instead has ND5 and Kay travel all around the galaxy to gather a crew. Kay literally has no motivation in this game, other than the fact that Solero put a bounty on her head. Yeah, you stole his ship, Kay. First up, we have planet Kijimi, the smallest map in the game. This is where Kay recruits Enk Parako. She likes blowing things up. That's her entire character. Can you guess what her specialty is? It's actually taxes. She's really good with numbers. On Tatooine, you know, from the movies, Kay goes to recruit the team's heavy, but for some reason, he just sucks. Honestly, he just does all this crappy stuff to Kay and Nix for no real reason other than to push the story along and to force Kay into a really bad situation. So Nix gets stolen and then sold to Jabba the Hutt, again from the movies. So, as Kay, it's time to sneak into his palace, free Nix, meet up with Vale, become friends for some reason, like very good friends, and kill the monster thing from episode 6. Finally, on planet Akiva, Kay recruits her old pal, Gadik Obaz, another character who could have been interesting, but ultimately, he's not. He's very one-dimensional. Oh, and then there's this brain in a jar that you have to free. This is earlier in the game. I totally forgot to mention this. That's a thing. Really annoying mission, escorting a brain. in a jar. The last two people who joined Kay and Jalen are Asara. He was with Kay during the first Solero robbery, and her mum, Rico, who for some reason just randomly abandoned Kay and then just acts like it wasn't a big deal. Mum of the year, I tell you that. ND5 is also having some malfunctions throughout the story, and this will come back later as Jalen has the ability to control ND5. So, you finally rob Solero with your new team, and you pull it off. Everything goes to plan. Until Kay realizes that you and the gang didn't actually steal any money. Again. Oh my gosh, Jalen's a bad guy. No way. You know, the guy who just ordered you around the entire game. He turns out to not be very good. Anyway, through a long monologue, we find out that Jalen is Solero's brother, and that they have very bad blood through their past. They don't really like each other. Some other stuff happens, Darth Vader rocks up, pretty cool scene, I will be honest. Then Jalen kills Solero. Cool, whatever. Because he can control ND5, he sends ND5 out to kill Kay. And well, through the power of friendship and a little help from Nyx, the two overpower Jalen, and now he's gone. The final mission is a space fight in your spaceship. Yep, a space fight in your spaceship. Don't know whose idea that was. In the end, during a post-credit scene, because apparently this game thinks it's the MCU, Kay helps her mother escape the Imperials, through this really cool scene because she's so cool now. And that's the end until the DLC. And I didn't play both of them, but I played one of them. Wildcard is the first DLC. I believe it was free. I'm not too sure. It's been a while since I played this game. It's essentially about the minigame Sabak, which is really good. It actually has no reason being as good as it is. It's not as good as Queen's Blood, but it's up there. I had a lot of fun with it. Essentially, Kay enters a Sabak tournament to win this thing called the Okla V. Or Okla 5, things don't go to plan, as usual. In the end, she and Lando, you know, from the movies, have to go and steal the Okla 5, or V, whatever it's called, back from whoever stole it in the first place. A lot of stealing in this game. At the end, Lando's like, hey, episode 6 is gonna happen, keep an eye out. And then it just sort of ends. There's another DLC, it's called A Pirate's Fortune, but I didn't play that, so moving on. Star Wars Outlaws was the first Star Wars video game, developed by a company outside of EA as they had a contract with Disney, which kept other companies from making Star Wars video games, and this contract lasted a long time. EA didn't want anyone touching the Star Wars property, but then they sort of messed up a lot. Battlefront 2? Anyhow, Massive Entertainment, a subdivision of Ubisoft, they make the Division games. They also did that Avatar game as well. They were like, hell yeah, we're gonna do a Star Wars game and we're gonna make a good one. I could make an hour-long video about the complex development of this game, the ups and downs, the inspirations, the amount of work that went into the story. It's quite complex. However, I don't want to make a video that long. So I'm just going to go through the main points that I found interesting while researching this video game. 600 developers worked on this project, and Lucasfilm were actually the ones who decided what time period it should take place within the Star Wars timeline. They picked in between episode 5 and episode 6, which is like peak Star Wars. The influences for the overall vibe, other than that 70s sort of 80s aesthetic, was spaghetti westerns, films by Akira Kurosawa, and, of all things, war films such as Saving Private Ryan. For some reason, Kay specifically, her character seemed to be inspired by a lot of male characters, which I find very strange. Specifically, they were inspired by Captain Jack Sparrow, James Bond, and other influences, rather than female leads throughout film who have always existed. I just don't understand why they weren't inspired by someone like Furiosa, Princess Leia, who's in Star Wars, Katniss Everdeen, Ellen Ripley from Alien. There's so many great female characters who are sort of similar to Kay that they could have been inspired by, but instead they picked a bunch of male characters. There's so many female characters in Battlestar Galactica, Better Call Saul, The Wire. The cool thing about Star Wars Outlaws is that there are 4 different planets that you can explore, and they're semi-open world. Each of them have been handcrafted by the developers. Procedural generation was a huge thing at the time, so I'm really glad that they decided to move away from that direction, such as Starfield and No Man's Sky, and actually make something that feels a little bit more personal and creative. This, my friends, is the real reason as to why I actually enjoyed this game. I enjoyed exploring these 4 different planets. And I guess Contonica, whatever it's called, the gambling planet, you can also explore, but that doesn't count. They all feel different as well, which is quite nice. You know, you have Akiva, which is the forest, and you have to get the upgrade so you can travel to various locations throughout that place on your speed bike, whatever that's called. The only problem that I have in terms of exploring is the Syndicate system. When everything is in blue, it's all good. When everything's in red, it's not good. It's actually really annoying. For those who don't know, each of the syndicates within the story have a relationship with Kay. You can be bad, you can be worse, you can be good, you can be great, or you can be neutral. These relationships constantly go from good to bad and then bad to good throughout the game, depending on Kay's actions and depending on like what you decide while doing a story mission or a side mission. If you're in their territory and they don't like Kay, oh boy, this game is a pain in the ass to play. But if everything's in the blue and everything's good, it's a lot of fun. Just exploring, going around, doing various side missions that are genuinely decent. They're not amazing, but I actually prefer them than what we got in Assassin's Creed Shadows. You can find little knickknacks with nicks, which is a lot of fun, doing these like handcrafted parkour missions. You can infiltrate Imperial bases, which yes, the stealth system isn't amazing, it's actually a little bit repetitive, but once you kind of wrap your head around it after the updates as well, it's really cool, and they've nailed the visual design. Like, it really feels like you're in an Imperial base from the movies. And that's one of the things that I really liked about it. Overall, it's a nice time, even though the story isn't anything to, like, preach about. Even though this video is literally 90% story. Alright, I'm done. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna go steal a spaceship now, so if you see a bounty with my head, just know that's what I did. Bye!